I'm too fresh for that. I mean, the only mistake I did was schedule a video for next year, but that's all.
And then wonder why it never appeared.
I was like, shouldn't that be out like 3 days ago?
Well, fortunately, this podcast isn't scheduled for next year because this is the Halcyon Frequency Podcast, and this is episode 22, airing June 19th, 2022. There's too many 22s in that sentence. At least we're not airing on the 22nd of June, because that would be a problem.
Oh my God, yeah.
I'm blind, and I'm hosting, and I feel like I'm half awake today, so I'm just going to let Kiri take over. How's your day been?
Long. Difficult. I don't want to talk about it.
Oh,
got it.
Don't.
Ooh, okay.
FG, how's your day
That kind
been?
of day.
Very long. I just finished a 9.5-hour stream, but I'm doing pretty good. I had pizza. That was good.
Very nice.
Nummies.
Fantastic. Jess is also here. How are you doing?
I'm okay. I'm on my second cup of coffee, and I'm getting pizza later. But it's still early for me, so I'm not tired from being awake, but tired from being asleep. Does that make sense?
I'm also on my second
does
cup
make
of coffee.
Kind of makes sense.
Now, I can neither confirm nor deny how many cups of coffee he's had, but we have a guest on today who is Cora. Do you want to introduce yourself and tell people who you are and a little bit about what you do?
Definitely. I'm Kormakr. That's the real definition of the Icelandic name. But let's go for Kor. Korm. That's easier for the ear and for the tongue. I myself am a content creator since, I think, 3.5 years, coming to the 4th. And since recently, since half a year, I have joined a game publisher called Hooded Horse. And now we are trying to pioneer, I feel like this little soldier in the front line digging the war trenches, to make how publishing games work different in a way that we focus on making the developer happy and therefore hopefully getting high quality games and not just some rest out games and unfinished feeling. Better cut for the developers. Still, the publisher gets his money, and we're getting better quality games. If that makes any sense.
Hell yeah.
Sounds
great.
great.
I think that a lot of people, people here might, or listening to this podcast might know Hooded Horse from Old World specifically, correct, right?
Yeah, that's our first baby that entered the market a few weeks ago.
Yeah, because I've heard quite a bit of positive buzz around that game from people here as well as other spaces over the years. So lovely to have you on the podcast. And
thank you for having me.
We do have a whole lot of things to kind of go through here today. We've got fake E3 kind of recap, which is probably what we're just going to dive into because frankly, there's a lot here. We got a bunch of stuff from E3. We've got games that we've been playing this past week, plus a Seth Green NFT update, which is more Schadenfreude, I suppose. But let's just kind of, I guess, dive into this year's Key 3, fake E3, Summer Games Fest, whatever you want to call it, really, at this point. Because it's not over. It's just going to kind of keep going on for like another month. There's more streams scheduled and more announcements and things happening over the next few weeks, too. So I guess this is just summer now. It's just we no longer have Video Game Christmas on like a weekend. It's now Video Game Christmas season. So,
which makes it really difficult to follow everything. Because the last weekend or like extended weekend was okay because everything was like just there, right? But now you have to actually look for all the different cons and showcases and stuff. It's not easy.
While I really love Jeff Keighley and his ability to kind of shepherd all of these announcement cycles into kind of one bin to a degree, was still a lot easier to just go to one website and just be like, all right, everything's happening Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, go. And then it's over after that. But I don't know. I kind of like everybody else getting their chance to kind of put on a show. It makes it feel more collaborative. I don't know.
It was definitely cool. I liked it. Also,
It's
it was kind
a
of
lot of information to take in.
It is.
Yeah.
I was part of it.
I think the one real
sometimes.
benefit of it, though, is you can kind of ignore things that you know that you won't be interested in.
True.
Which
Yeah, of course,
previously
you can do
you'd
that
just
too.
be exposed to EA Games' football segment. Now I can just completely pretend that EA Games doesn't exist. which is fantastic, frankly. All for the best. But we've got a few highlights here kind of at the start. I mean, I'm the Aliens fan here, I think. So, I think there's quite a few of you guys who are interested in Diablo 4. So, Kiri, do you want to take us away with the with your thoughts on the previews of Diablo 4?
Yes. So we saw the last class, the Necromancer, and it looks awesome. I don't know, I'm just so hyped. Diablo, or just Blizzard, but Diablo makes really amazing cinematics, and that was another really good one. We saw a bit of gameplay, but I feel like we've seen most of that before, because that was, I don't know, I feel like I've seen it before. I'm a Diablo fangirl. What can I say? I've played it since the first one, and I'm just absolutely incredibly hyped about it. Also, they've promised that it's not going to be like Diablo Immoral. It's going to have the usual, you buy the game. That's what it's called. It's not really what it's called. Okay, Diablo Immortal.
Do you guys not have mortgages?
Sorry?
Do you guys not have mortgages?
Yeah. No, I love it. Diablo Immoral, that's what I'll call it from now on. That's perfect.
Have you not heard that before?
No, I haven't.
That's all over the internet. No,
I haven't heard it at all.
People who know what's going on.
I think you just titled this podcast.
They're calling it Diablo Immoral.
It's perfect.
Because of how much money they want you to spend on it. You don't have to, right? But it's basically what the game is for. But Diablo 4 is just going to be the normal Diablo PC game monetization, I'm going to say. So you purchase the game, there will be DLCs, and I think they said cosmetics, but it's not. So
what you're saying is they're not going to have a real money auction house again?
I think they've learned that lesson.
I hope so.
I hope so too. Yeah, no. When they announced the Necromancer and just they show new Diablo 4 stuff, people were obviously concerned about this being like the mobile game now, but they immediately said no, it's not going to be. So that makes me hopeful.
Yeah, I have to say, I have played past Diablos, but it hardly passed me by. Diablo 4 this time around. Nope. And it's not even to do with Immortal. I don't know. It just doesn't grab me at all.
Immoral. FG Immoral.
Yes. True.
Is it like a kind of a combination of just like the way the industry is, or are you just like, I don't have time for a big action RPG right now?
No, it's more like I don't get an enjoyment out of the Diablo world and just running things over and over. And also it's a Blizzard game, which is still icky and I don't want to touch it.
Yeah. Blizzard.
Yeah. I mean, I could just sit here and grumble about it, but all I'll say is that the Diablo Immortal meme house is continuing to turn.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's very amusing for me as somebody who doesn't... It's not that I don't care about Diablo. It's like I played Diablo 2, and I really liked Diablo 2. But I don't know if there's a need for me to go back to Diablo in the current age, I guess.
I personally am excited for Diablo 4. I'm just curious if all the classes will be included in one, or if they go down the DLC legacy and be like, hey, you have 3 classes and the other one, pay for them.
So what they've said is that was it 4 or 5 classes they introduced right now? Those are the ones from the base game. So you have the Necro that was just announced. I think the Druid, the Sorcerer, Barbarian, something else? A Rogue. I think a Rogue.
Yeah, some archer shooty duty.
Yeah, so I think it's 5 classes and you get those right from the start. They might, add more classes as they go on. I would expect them to be honest.
I've never played Diablo.
Oh.
Do you know what Path of Exile is?
Yes.
Because it's that.
I've
pretty much,
also
yeah.
not played that, so...
I'll go play that for 5 minutes and then you'll have a pretty good idea.
I love action RPGs.
Diablo, I guess, has a bit more of a, like, the story setting is a bit more fleshed out than in PoE and a bit more, like, nostalgic for a lot of people, I guess.
I feel like it's almost impossible to be in games in general or play a lot of games and not have heard the name Deckard Cain at least once.
Stay a while and listen.
Yeah, and that too.
Because it is quite literally one of the best video game names in video games.
It's a great name. Also, great voice actor.
Yeah.
It's right up there with like being told, "What are you buying?" It's like there's just some things in games that you can't avoid, and Diablo is kind of one of them. But we'll see.
Unless you're me.
That's a good but I mean, you've heard "What are you buying?" right?
Actually, I haven't.
You've never had somebody unironically just like walk up to you and say, "What are you buying?"
No.
Because that's Resident Evil.
Oh, well, that explains
Well,
it.
there you go.
The guy walks up to you and he opens up his jacket and he goes, "What are you buying? What are you selling?"
Okay.
Yes.
There's just random like dude with bullets in his jacket in the middle of a haunted mansion.
You're asking the person who doesn't play zombie games. Like,
Anyway, I'm very excited for Aliens Dark Descent. Just because I get excited for every Aliens game and I'm always disappointed. So I'm ready to be disappointed again. The trailer looked like I thought it was like Fireteam Elite DLC while I was watching the trailer. The trailer got some pretty legitimate criticism because it almost feels like a bait and switch. It's like, oh, here's a really long trailer of like Aliens cinematic stuff, and then it pans out and it's a top-down game. But I don't know. I'm here for it. I'll play it. I'm interested. They got me listening. So
Same, actually.
Same.
So I've got.
Yeah.
There's two people on here that have written down Ara History Untold, and I've watched the trailer. What the hell is that game?
4X strategy, 4X strategy game.
Sure, but
We
It's
haven't
like-
seen anything about it.
any other
far as-
information?
I know it's Civ, but not Civ. And it has
Yeah.
the voice actor of Avisorala from The Expanse doing the narration.
Yeah, that was the one thing that really stuck with me. It was like, oh,
Yeah.
it's Avasarala. Wait, what?
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I was just very excited about it because I watched the trailer and I also read Twitch chat while watching the trailer. Everybody's like, this is going to be a new Civ. That's going to be so cool. And then it was not a new Civ. But it's still exciting.
I am down for a 4X historic strategy game.
Yeah.
If it does something new, that would be great. We'll see.
We'll see.
Like having another contender, have like a Sith and then a humankind and then a different one, could be good for the genre as well. Like, put some more fresh, I don't know, like rejuvenate the genre a little bit more and new gameplay and whatnot. But obviously, like, we haven't seen much, right? That's the thing.
Yeah, that was the trailer, but that didn't say much.
Yeah.
Other than being really good looking. But yeah, more competition in the market means probably more fleshed out systems, new stuff to come, and maybe like a little bit of a kick in the ass to do something fresh.
I mean, a couple of years ago, just kind of talking about like Civ and hex-based games in general. A couple of years ago, I remember just like sitting in not in this chair, but in the chair that I owned at the time over at the other end of this apartment when my office was over at the other end of this apartment, having this discussion with a friend of mine while playing Civ 5, I think, before Civ 6 was coming out. Like, Civ 6 was like soon TM, and he was just like, I wish somebody else would get off their ass and make a better Civ. Because that one looks terrible. And he was just going on about how bad he thought Civ 6... He has like 6,000 hours in Civ 6 now. But he's just like, I wish somebody else would make a Civ because Civ 5 sucked. Civ 6 is going to suck. We're never going to get a good Civ. And he's just sitting there ranting and ranting and ranting. He still plays Civ 6. Hasn't bought any of the other like games that are like, it hasn't played Humankind. He's like, nah, Humankind looks terrible. Didn't play any of the indie ones that looked kind of like, that were like 4X-y. And it's just like, it's great that there's competition in that industry, but I think that there's some people that have just been playing Civ so long that they're stuck in that Stockholm syndrome of constantly hating Civ and they don't trust any other games. It's a really weird market. And Ara History Untold is a difficult name for me to remember. Like, I watched that trailer and it was a nice trailer. And I had to just go rewatch that trailer to remind myself what that game was. Because, I don't know, it's just, there's nothing about it that like, ping, that's a strategy game, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Like reading that name, it kind of reminds me of what was that 3D character action game that came out of nowhere? It was like Kanya something, Bridge of Spirits.
Yeah.
Like that's what it sounds like to me. It sounds like a little 3D action game. Just reading the title. So hopefully they can like get a good marketing push of messaging behind that game, because right now it's not the most memorable thing to stick in my head. That's kind of my thoughts on that.
I actually have to say, I have this problem with literally every game I've seen at not E3. Like, I completely forgot about Ara and Return to Moria, even though I was really excited about seeing them. But like, and until like people write it in our secret document here, I completely forgot about them because
I totally did not just spend that whole conversation scrolling through the list of announcements to be like, I need a game. What did I see? I saw so many games. What did I see?
Yeah,
though?
there was so much. Like the Halcyon Direct alone, it had like 200 games. It was just went like bam, 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 bam. Like, it was too much.
I didn't even watch the Halcyon Direct. I just went and scrolled up and down itch.io in the coming soon section and Steam in the coming soon section. I was like, okay, I think I got it all.
Oh, one thing that Steam did this year that was really awesome was they actually put the showcases into Steam, so you could browse the games by showcase announcements.
I
don't know if you all saw that
before, but they portioned them out a lot better than previous years, for sure.
Yeah, it was so easy to go through and be like, oh yeah, wish list.
That's very nice.
The never-ending roadmap.
My wish list went from 40-something to 70-something.
I was just watching it and taking notes on the side, and then every time I saw a game, if I was at my PC, I would already look it up on Steam and wishlist it. If I wasn't, then it was just, taking note of the name. Otherwise, I would have forgotten to.
I have a long list of games that I need to go through. I haven't gone through it yet.
Speaking of long games, Korm, we've kind of just been talking about things up until now, but talk to me about Warhammer 40,000 Rogue Trader.
Oh, I'm super excited about that. First of all, I love Warhammer 40k and the whole universe around it. And for some reason, apparently it's our year, because Space Marine 2, Rogue Traders coming out, then Darktide is coming out from the makers of Vermintide, that co-op kind of hack and slash thing. Is like bombarding us with Warhammer game, but here's also the problem. None of them is actually really good, except of a few outstanding ones. So I'm kind of hyped and kind of worried at the same time. But Rogue Trader is from friends of mine from Alcat Studios, Russian team. And they have landed perfectly with their Pathfinder games, Pathfinder Kingmaker and Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous. Huge CRPGs. And finally get a good RPG, big chunk, crazy, classical, top-down, turn-based tactics, lore that you will probably get flooded and don't know your name anymore. And that said, in the Warhammer 40k universe, I was like nearly biting my table when I saw that announcement.
I'm really excited about it too.
And their community manager and some people of the team is like, hey, we have something, but we can't tell you. And they were like teasing me for 2 weeks until they announced it. It was very, very bad of them to do. But they probably had a lot of fun doing that because they knew I'm a huge fan.
I'm tentatively curious about this one, and I'm not a Warhammer person. I really, really love Space Marine, and I really, really, really like Battlefleet Gothic, and that's kind of like my extent of like Warhammer games. Mm-hmm. And I've watched a lot of people play previous Owlcat games, and most notably recently Bellinair, when he did a playthrough of Pathfinder, the second one that they put out. Kingmaker, I think. Anyway, as he made it to the end of that game, it ran so poorly and played so poorly and was so buggy that he kept soft blocking the game. Just because he apparently managed to have this like completely busted dragon build where he had like 50 like mirror image dragons on the screen, and like he'd go into a fight and he'd activate all his abilities and his dragons would fill up the screen completely. And the frame rate would go down to like 1 frame a second, and everything on the enemy side would die immediately. And then it would take about 2 minutes for his spells to finish because the game lagged so much, and then he'd get to walk to the next fight. So I hope that there's a little bit more QA on this one, but it's a Warhammer game, so I'm not very expectant about that. But it's a CRPG, so we'll see.
I hear you. I luckily did never run into such issues, but yeah, you can definitely probably cheese out the D&D Pathfinder system to crazy amount of unrealistical thing, and then just intentionally probably break whatever is going on there on the screen.
Have they announced for Rogue Trader? Is it actually gonna be turn-based, or is it real-time with pause?
It's turn-based.
Like the Pathfinder game.
Very nice.
Okay, that's good. I prefer that for my CRPGs.
Both Pathfinder games have also a turn-based module that you can activate.
You can do it now. Yes, you can do it now. Yeah.
Is it gonna be? Sorry.
No, we're good.
Is it gonna be multiplayer? Do we know already?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
Could be interesting if you have like friends joining in and controlling one of your group members and like play together the whole adventure.
Because I want my CRPGs to be multiplayer.
Same. It's really fun.
Yes.
I think everybody's spoiled after why am I blanking on the name of those two games? Divinity, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, Solasta is also multiplayer, and Wasteland 3 is, well, it's only co-op. It's not multiplayer, not four-player co-op, but Solasta now is. It's really good.
I need to play Wasteland 3. I need to do that.
Well, then I know what I will bug the devs about the next couple of weeks, as they have squeezed me with their secrecy. I will be like, hey, multiplayer, multiplayer.
Yeah, please do that.
Co-op.
Yeah, please, yeah.
Co-op.
I'll do it right now.
Speaking of things that will not have multiplayer, I'm very excited about Cocoon. Do any of you remember that trailer?
No.
What's that?
What was that?
No.
So
Which one was Cocoon?
Cocoon is from the designers of Inside and Limbo, which are two of my favorite games of all time.
I like
and
those
it's
games.
a top-down puzzle game, it looks like. It looks like a non-violent puzzle game, but it's hard to say. And the trailer kind of shows this weird orby cocoon thing, and then the main character falls out of it. And then they go and they pick up an orb, and they put the orb in a thing, and it makes a portal, and then they go and they grab another orb, and then they jump into the portal and pop up in a new version of the same world and go and grab a different orb. It looks like an interdimensional puzzle game thing, and I'm very excited.
I
Multiverse.
remember the trailer now.
I remember, and I was thinking,
I missed this one.
holy crap, this trailer already breaks my brain. Playing this game is gonna break my brain.
Let's go. I'm excited. Very excited. That and Somerville, I think, are my two big... Oh, it was the people who used to work at Playdead that don't work at Playdead anymore. Let's go. Because Playdead managed to make two of my favorite games of all time. So let's see if we can get a third or fourth under there. So not a lot in the trailer, but that's something that I'm super keen on.
Yep.
Nice.
So while we were talking, a bunch of Lord of the Rings Return to Moria's appeared. Who wants to take that one?
Guess I can.
Go, Jess.
Yeah, I mean, so there were a lot of things that I was excited about, but fortunately I was able to try a number of demos, so that, like, I don't know, felt good, sort of sated that hunger to, like, all the games. But one that was announced is Lord of the Rings Return to Moria, which is a survival crafting game in a procedurally generated world. And I think that sounds really cool. I'm just really hoping that they do it well. It can be single player or co-op, speaking of co-op. But there's not really, like, much info on it yet. Like, I'm not sure if this is going to be, like, a first-person thing or, like, top-down.
Yeah.
I think it's first person, because I think the Epic Store, it already has a game page on the Epic Store, because this is something that's coming to the Epic Store first, I think.
Which I'm not huge about, but okay.
Or does it not? I might not have anything. Actually, I don't know. No, I think it only has, like, pictures. I don't know. This one, like, everything about it sounds really good.
That's why I feel like it has to be bad.
I'm rewatching this trailer, and everything about this just looks kind of like Valheim, but dwarves underground.
I mean, in a sense,
what my
are
brain is
not
saying.
all survival games super similar in terms of building, survival? All have these clickable.
It definitely looks grid based instead of like a free build. So there's that. But
Yeah,
I
but
think the exciting part is like the world, right? Because I mean, like there's that whole mystery of Moria that like hopefully we all know about, right?
yes.
you
But
shall not pass.
but as you dig deeper and explore, like I don't know, just that innate fear that hopefully they'll be able to capture, and
I
like
know what's coming.
yeah. We
Yeah.
have to dig deeper,
Drums,
but I
drums
know
in the
what's
deep.
down below.
Yeah.
No, I think it can be done well or really badly.
So, I wonder, are they going to put a second Balrog into Moria? Or what are they going to do?
I mean,
Or are they
there's-
going to retcon it and be like, well, the Balrog Gandalf actually never, like, defeated it, or, I don't know, it just slept. But then why would it sleep for, like, I don't know. I mean, they haven't said.
What era does this take place in? Is this before or after Gandalf gets there?
After.
Oh, this is fourth age. So this is in an age where the
Okay.
elves are gone.
So so this is way later. Gotcha.
So this
Okay,
is
I missed
later.
that.
Yeah, we don't know when in the fourth age, but it is later. Yeah.
I mean,
I guess
there's more
another
Balrogs in
Balrog
hell.
could take
Come on.
over.
Maybe the Balrog had family.
Had a family.
I'm a
Someone
huge,
here has
huge
Balrog.
more
Lord
attention
of
to
the
Tolkien
Rings
than the rest
nerd.
of us, so please go
And,
ahead.
uh,
Two.
Okay, school us on this then.
Balrog's like ancient being, and he was like one of thousands of years back, accidentally buried in that mountain, and the dwarves were just too greedy and dig him out and be like, "Hey, I'm free now," and killed all of Moria. But it's, I think, the last specimen that survived the whole cataclysm that happened back in
I think so. Yeah.
the pre time of forming Middle Earth and its world. So that would be weird. But then again, it's a game and it's there to make us having fun. So it doesn't necessarily need to be lore accurate. Other than if they claim to be lore accurate and then they're not, then that's another setting. But
It
they're
also doesn't even need to be a Balrog.
Yeah, because that's.
already doing some
could have
weird
dragons.
things that is not really lore
Could have
fitting.
big
But
ogres.
I don't mind.
I
It's a
was
game.
just gonna say the thing as well. Like, it doesn't need to be a Balrog. You know what I want? There is that scene where they're in there, and then they're the scene. In the movie, they did it with the well and the bone that falls down, and then but in the book, it's like the noise that they hear. It's drums in the deep, and like I want that. Like you just hear nothing, and you just hear the drums, and then oh shit, in like 10 minutes, there's gonna be this horde of just orc goblins coming at me, and I have to defend my base or something like that. I don't know. Like I want that.
They could go just full on 7 days to die with it and just be like, I don't know, once every X number of hours or X number of minutes or X number of time in game, or if you go too far, you start hearing drums and then you have X amount of time to run back home and man the ballistas or whatever. Man the
That'd be
catapults.
really cool.
That would be
Dump
really
the
cool.
acid. Let's go.
I hope
I get a feeling
can
of
play
Deep Rock
it.
Galactic there. Sorry.
I mean, Deep Rock Galactic, but fantasy, go.
Yeah, I'd be down.
But you build a base.
It seems like from the description there might actually be a noise mechanic. So
Ooh.
where did I see
Don't
that?
disturb the deep.
Noise mechanic.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, with
I like
Alien.
dwarves a whole lot, so
Yes.
I'm curious about this, but survival games tend to bounce off me pretty heavily, so.
It says here, players can mine to craft greater gear and resources, but beware mining makes noise, and noise created in the quiet deep threatens to awaken the dangers below.
Ah, I see.
Drums.
So some sort of noise
Nice.
mechanic.
That's like, oh god, the Blue Man Group is playing again.
Oh, and apparently they have. You can find ancient magic items that glow when orcs are near. Ooh, oh, that gives me a tingle. All of the descriptions. I want this game now. Give it to me.
She's just like, I want my glowy gloves.
Mm-hmm.
But so we've talked about a little bit about Diablo. We've done Ara History Untold, Aliens, Cocoon, Warhammer 40,000, Rogue Trader. So there's one thing left on our list. It starts with star and it ends with field. This is one that I was very underwhelmed by. So someone who's like excited about this, take this one.
I share the sentiment blind.
I put it on there. I put it on my list because we finally got to see more, and I'm excited about that. But you could also very much see from the trailer, it is a Bethesda game. And the trailer has already been like picked apart, and like there's already like one thing like, yeah, there's a guy in the trailer walking around that has his head on backwards. It's amazing.
Yep.
Really?
There's also a scene where a guy gets
Is that
shot
intentional?
indoors, and for
didn't
no
see
reason,
that.
his body flies in the wrong direction from where he was getting shot.
Yeah,
So
so
they're like shooting him, and his body goes backwards
So-
towards the door. So
I'm excited for like, or I'm looking forward to playing Starfield, because I'm looking forward to walking through another Bethesda sandbox RPG with utterly broken mechanics and bugs. That's what I'm looking forward to. So
my hope,
I'm like
that I
100%
can melee a
aware.
ship into space.
Huh? Sorry?
my hope is that I can melee a ship into space.
Yes, yeah, or like just wacky things like that. That's what I want. I want a game that's supposed to be serious, but it just breaks, and you have like, I don't know, spaceships landing upside down on a house or something, like just completely broken stuff. That's what I'm looking forward to, because I do not expect a polished thing. It's gonna be a Bethesda release, but I'm excited to get a Bethesda RPG that's not Fallout 76. That's why I put it on my list. And now I want Fallout 5, please, by Obsidian. That's what I would really be excited about.
I would like another Elder Scrolls game, personally, but
You'll
Well, that
get
comes
it.
before
Just wait another 7
Fallout.
years.
Yeah.
So Starfield, then Elder Scrolls 6, then Fallout 5. But what I'm most excited about it is, and I hope they have learned from previous title, especially talking of Fallout and Skyrim, that they built their whole system around moddability, and that's what actually freaks me out. What the community will do with the game and the tools and the settings and create. I'm right now preparing my first playthrough of Skyrim. I've never played it. I played it like up until the very first city. I can't recall it. Something with White Run.
White Run.
Whiterun, yeah.
Whiterun. The first dragon encounter. That's how far I came. Then hardware broke down. Then I had to restart, and then I had to restart, and I was like, okay, screw that. I'm gonna never play it top to bottom. And now I just ran a mod pack through it, and I'm like, whoa, this game looks like it just came out, and with new mechanics and directional movement, and the whole flora and fauna looks like up to date. I would even dare to say it looks better than Elden Ring from what I see on my screen, and it's just mind blowing for me. And when that hits with Starfield and the possibilities of potentially 1,000 planets to explore, and the whole playground for modding community and sci-fi freaks to play around, I'm down for that.
I can't wait to build my Thomas the Tank Engine spaceship and fly to the Thomas the Tank Engine planet to kill Thomas the Tank Engines.
Yes.
That's
Please.
actually the only reason I'm mildly interested in this game.
Apparently the
It's
cat
just
is
for
too.
the memes. But that's basically what I did in Skyrim by the end of it anyway. It was just like, all right, crabs with top hats, Thomas the Tank Engines in the sky, and I have a banana gun. Let's go.
I think that's what everybody did with Skyrim eventually. That's where all Skyrim modded runs lead eventually.
I never finished my run. It broke.
Some things that I will say about this trailer, though, and the footage that they showed is, I like science fiction games. I like space games. I like space games a lot. I have a lot of time at Elite Dangerous. I really like the Free Space games. I like the X franchise. I've played Project Gemini. I've played Freelancer. I've played TIE Fighter. I've played a little bit of X-Wing. I've played a lot of space games. That space combat looks extremely bad.
Yep.
Like, it looks worse than No Man's Sky combat looked at launch. And that is exceptionally disappointing to me. I didn't know what route they were going to go with their space stuff for this game. But it's very much like you can build your own ships. That's really cool. You can build bases, and that's really cool, although it's probably just going to send you notifications every 30 minutes like it did in Fallout saying, hey, you're getting attacked, which that'll be fun, right? But like the spaceship building and the part where you can walk around in the ships, that part looks rad. And like the actual like visuals of just looking around the landscape, aside from that, everything is like gray and bland and muted. I don't like that. I like colorful things. I don't like it when things are just like, yo, you are colorblind and can see gray and brown. It looks like a game that came out in like 2009 in that era where everything was brown. I don't like that very much. Maybe there's planets where things are colorful, but all of the stuff that they showed in that trailer looked bland. So, I don't want to just sit here and be like, wish lists of mods, but like, we need better color HUDs because like that is just wrong. And there's an upsettingly large amount of lens flare, and then they get into the ship, and then they fly up into space, and it's like, okay, that part looks cool, but the combat that they showed was like low atmosphere kind of, and everything was just glare ridden, and the third person, well, I mean, third person has never been good in a Bethesda game, but like the third person space combat looked horrendous. The in cockpit space combat looked almost worse.
Yeah. I hope they deliver something good until it comes, whenever it comes. But apparently, of the trailer, they said everything that has been shown within 12 months, right, will be coming. I don't believe that,
that's
but
what they
I will say, this is the first time they've announced a release date for a Bethesda game and then delayed it.
Maybe they've learned.
I mean, I assume they really wanted to hit 11/11, but like,
well, somebody wanted them to hit that.
Yeah,
Somebody did.
It's a bit scary to think that there was such an iconic date, and they because obviously they chose it for its symbolism. For those who don't know, November 11th, 2011 is when Skyrim came out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Sorry, this would be 11/11/22. I almost feel like there must have been something like really wrong still, or rough. So I don't know.
There was murmurs coming out of Bethesda game development shortly after that, and the release date was delayed, basically saying, we don't want to be another Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
And that's where we currently are.
I mean, that's to be fair. That's to be honest, I do respect that. Yeah, I respect that exactly. Like, I'd rather have a game that's like good and it's as much fun as it can be as like a broken thing. So I'll wait. We've waited so long. What's 6 more months, 8 more months?
A
doesn't
year,
really
2 or 3, doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Exactly.
If the game is better for waiting, I'm gladly waiting.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
That's
Same.
what we see on our consumer end, but the publisher or the producer back there like, this is not worth it. Money.
Well, it is
Push
because
it
the
out.
investors are like, but my money, I need to make another $5 million this year.
5 million?
Only?
Whatever.
Only 5 million?
Well,
Come on,
I
you can
was
do better
singling
than
out one investor of many.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I gotcha.
not just all investors. That no.
I getcha.
Yeah.
But now that we've kind of run through kind of our highlights of fake E3, I'm curious, what's everybody's kind of take on the state of E3? Because like, E3 we kind of talked about this a little bit more before recording, but like E3 is, was Video Game Christmas. This was the week where everything got announced previously, and now E3 is kind of no more. We're still calling it E3. Well, maybe not no more, but it's on hold permanently until next year.
Next year, yeah.
And Summer Games Fest has announced that next year they're going to do a full-blown in-person event instead of just a tiny little press and elite YouTubers event where they had 300 people at that thing. It was local YouTubers that were big and press basically, and then they had people on little iPads on robots driving around looking at games, and it's that's a neat thing that they put together, but they want to do a bigger scale version of that next year. So how's everybody feeling about kind of this current generation of E3, I guess.
I think, especially this year, and I understand why E3 did that. If we go to years past, and like also like look how certain companies decide to not do anything at all, we are currently, and next year it's even going to be also still marginally affected. But this year in particular is like the height of the year where, or like the height of the post or pandemic game delays. If that, like, I'm not explaining it very well, but basically all of the games that originally were slated to come out this year and next year were in like their major production phase during COVID, right? So like 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, 1.5 years ago. So all of those games, all the big ones, they're going to come out next year or the year after. So I found this year's not E3, there was a lot, but it was underwhelming. So I don't know. And I don't know if I want E3 to come back, because I do like that a lot of like smaller events are happening, like the Wholesome Direct, the Guerrilla Collective stuff, like all of the smaller stuff. I like that too, but it's just too much. So I think I'm actually kind of looking forward to it all just coming back on a set schedule on like 3-4 days, and assuming it does, yeah, who knows. But because the problem is, if it's not under one big umbrella event, they don't work together, right? And that's why we see games in 3 or 4 or more showcases, and it's like, all right, I've seen this trailer 3 times already. Give me next game. And yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
that was a bit better before.
I see where you're coming from with that, but I actually really kind of liked it in smaller showcases because they all felt a little bit more genuine, rather than like some super produced, like just corny jokes, and I'm just like, oh my god, shut up, get on with it.
Ubisoft press conference.
Yeah, it's like
gamer.
I kind of liked actually, like just hearing the devs talk about their stuff and just like quickly moving through it without the whole like pomp and circumstance. I really enjoyed that actually. But I also agree it was a lot.
There's a
I think
sweet spot.
I kind of agree with Jess. I can just kind of ignore the stuff that I don't want to pay attention to and pay attention to the stuff that I care about. And the one thing that I think I do kind of miss from the traditional big convention E3 is there's always a lot of live streams of like, yo, it's the director of God of War, or like somebody who worked on big franchise A and somebody who's working on big franchise B, all in a room talking. And I miss that. Because like, when you don't have all of these bigger names from the games industry together in one space, it's really difficult to get them all on a sofa and on a live stream at 2:00 in the morning, drunk, talking about games. And that was the part of E3 that I genuinely enjoyed. Like, the announcements were always fine and dandy. Like, I could do those whenever. But the part of E3 that I enjoyed was just the fact that there was an in-person event where all of those people could go and talk. And I'm kind of hoping that if E3 doesn't come back as E3, I'm kind of hoping Summer Games Fest takes over that and builds a in-person event that could replicate that.
Could be.
That'd be interesting.
Difficult, but could be.
So, Korm, from your perspective as somebody who works in the industry, like what's your take on the direction that E3 or Summer Games Fest or Key 3 has been going?
I think it's generally momentarily a very interesting take on how everything progresses and how forced intuitive, I think it's the word I'm looking for. No, that's not the word I'm looking for, but they're kind of forced to come up with a new thing because of people who are not allowed to meet, blah, blah, blah. And I'm always a fan of progression and moving forward, so why not have this whole thing digital and don't have to be standing around with other 100 of crowded people checking out the game and be able to, as you said, walk around on a device and just digitally see everything. But then again, it's kind of missing the personal aspect. So I'm kind of have mixed feelings here. Will it get also all very blunt and not very personalized and special, or will it be actually cool that each individual has more time to check out all the things going on because it's all digitally made and accessible and easy to grab, and you just could grab your phone and be like, okay, let's check this out and this announcement and this is happening. I don't know, like good and bad, 50-50 feeling here in my belly.
I think that E3 kind of lost its way when it tried to become another PAX as far as like the in-person event goes. Like, I got invited to go to E3 in 2018 and 2019, and I said no both times because money, but also because I just kind of didn't want to go. Both of those times it was like, yeah, no, it's like it's an in-person event, but like if you go as non-press, which is what I would have ended up being, you would just kind of be at an underwhelming PAX, and PAX can be kind of underwhelming sometimes. So it's like, I think that it needs to be press and industry for an in-person event. And even if that means I'm not cool enough to go, I would prefer that over it just trying to become PAX limited edition. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. PAX, but nothing is out yet. It's per edition, basically. Because PAX always ends up being a lot of games that are out or games that are out very soon. And I think that there needs to be a space for games that are far off still. And we don't really have that currently. But does anybody have anything else they want to say on the E3, fake E3 front?
Oh, there was something that got announced today, I think. Or was it yesterday? I don't know. It was like drunk sleep in sleep deprived. It was Dragon's Dogma 2. And that got me out of surprise. I was like, what? Finally, after 10 years. No. They're picking up...
That's an RPG I'm looking forward to.
They're picking up on their very unique RPG and hopefully just rework everything that worked and make it prettier. And I'm happy already.
Bigger, prettier, more monsters. The dragon eats your heart a second time. Let's go. But I think we're going to go to a real quick break here. And when we come back from that break, we will talk about the games that we've been playing over the past 2 weeks that are out or playable or demos or other things of that sort. So the Halcyon Frequency Podcast will return momentarily.
Hi, this is the Halcyon Frequency Podcast and I am Belanar. You couldn't hear me in this episode, but stick around for the future episodes for some soothing rolling R's. Meanwhile, hop over to twitch.tv/Belanar for some building management and strategy games, plus all kinds of variety. Come say hi, and let's go on with the show.
Hello, and welcome back to the Halcyon Frequency Podcast, episode 22, for June 19th, 2022. There's, I said this earlier, but there's too many 22s in that sentence. But I'm blind. I'm still hosting. I'm joined by Kor. I'm joined by Kiri. I'm joined by Jess and FG, and we're going to talk about the games that we've been playing this week. So Kiri, you said that you wanted to go first with It Takes Two.
Yes, exactly. It takes two to Kiri and Mystery to beat this game, because Mystery, my husband, had a day off, and usually he doesn't want to be on stream with me, but for some reason he changed his mind. I was looking for something that we could play together, and I, at some point, got gifted It Takes Two, so I thought it's going to be the perfect co-op game, because I've had so many good things about it, and it is incredible. Absolutely incredible. Every single movement you do feels so smooth and thought out, and there's so many cool mechanics in the game. Like, you basically... I'm going to call it surfing on rails, and then jump to the next one, and you've got a rope that you can swing on, and, I don't know, do a double jump, dive in the air. It's incredibly creative and fun. It's not particularly difficult, because it's like a 3D puzzle platformer adventure game. I don't really know. I'm not really good at those 3D games, but it's super fun, very entertaining. I had trouble with simulation sickness, though, because some of the boss fights, you have to rotate the camera so much to be able to defeat it. So it was kind of handicapped, because I put my camera movement sensitivity very low, and then it just took ages to turn around. But yeah, I kind of had to do that. But in between, like in the the third chapter, I think I had to take a break again because my brain just couldn't handle all of it. But it's amazing. I'm not sure if you've played it. Anybody?
I've been looking for somebody to play this game with me since it came out. Nobody wants to get married and divorced. It's a bit of a commitment. So every time I ask people, it's just like, no, Blind, I don't want to marry you. And also, no, I don't want to get divorced after I marry you. It's like, well...
Okay.
I'm just gonna ask this without spoiling. Have you made it to the plushie scene yet?
No.
That's the reason why I don't play this game. Why I'm never gonna play that game.
I've seen that scene and I think it's hilarious. I think I'm a bad person.
Okay.
I
don't get emotional with video games, so I don't think I'll care.
Dark
whatever
Fury,
happens.
go!
It's not that I'm emotional, but I don't want to I don't want to be a character that does what that character does. And That's what I'm going to say because I don't want to spoil it to Kiri.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm very intrigued now. So
You're probably going to enjoy it.
How did you like it?
We came to a part where you kind of had to sync the jumping because the platforms are starting to sync and the other one kind of rises. And my better half is fresh to controllers. She has not really a lot of gaming experience, and we had really hard time passing that part. So we tried for an hour because both have to reach the end. It's not enough if one makes the thing, and we just gave up. I think it's 40% into the game or 50, halfway, and we just never touched it again since then.
Yeah, I think you told me that before.
Could be.
So you need somebody else to help you get past that point, and then you could continue, right?
Yeah, possibly. We could try that. I'm not sure we're gonna give it a go. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. No, I just absolutely love it, and Mystery too.
It's really good. It's really
It is.
cute.
It's also beautiful.
Well made. Did you have the fishies, the scene, the whale?
Yeah.
Oh, that was so good.
And it's also witty. I love the combat squirrels. It's hilarious.
And the love book, whatever its name it is, the doctor, whatever.
Hakim.
Yeah, the love girl.
Dr. Hakim.
I was laughing from minute one.
That was definitely my highlight of the week.
It was really good.
This game's funny because it's so divisive. It's like people are either like, this is actually the greatest thing I've ever made, or this is awful and I hate it. And there's no in between.
I like it how many games they mixed in there. There's Super Mario coming in. There's Sonic. There's this kind of rail jumping thing. There's Temple Run. There's I don't know, all kind of mix. And that's prior game they'd made. They even brought. I'm not saying that because maybe that's spoiler. The prior game is A Way Out with the two criminals that you play.
Yeah,
that's
I found
also
those
superb.
already.
Oh, you found those already? Okay.
Yeah, I found them.
So there are some fun in-game spoilers to that, to the prior game, and they did good. They are amazing at co-op games, and I can't wait to see their next project.
It just makes me kind of sad because Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons is one of my favorite games ever, and they've just been making co-op games that I can't play since then because I never have. And by the time I start screaming out to the world, does anybody want to play this? Everybody's either already played it or doesn't want to play it, and it's
Line we two
every time.
We're gonna sit down and play if we can fix our time schedule.
We're not that far apart. Also, I don't sleep, so it's fine. But so that's It Takes Two. Korm, talk to me about Terra Invicta.
Ooh. Terra Invicta is
curious
our second baby coming on the market from Hooded Horse. And it's, bless you. And it's from the makers of the Longwar mod of XCOM. And they are combining grand strategy with sci-fi. And you start similar like XCOM. You have this meeting with the aliens, and you have several factions, each with their own ideology. Saudi Arabia tries to leave Earth because oh crap, aliens are coming, we're doomed, we have to leave Earth. And you kind of try to space rush build your colony ship and send it out and win the game just leaving Earth and don't care about the rest. The other ones are this Mississippi kind of cliche, super religious ones to like, oh, aliens, our new survivors and gods, and we have to praise them and please them. And all these kind of aspects and mechanics playing together. When you first play it, though, it's like a slap into the face because it's so much going on until you like figure out how to maneuver around. But once you do, it is gorgeous. Starting on like a fight for power on Earth, and then start to build your own spaceship and try to either communicate with the aliens and befriend them, or fight them and send out your kind of spaceship in a way that's just like attached satellites, and it kind of looks very real in a way that I could imagine a spaceship to look like that we would build right now. And it starts in 2022, like that's the start year when the game starts, with Russia invading Ukraine. And that's the current situation where they drop you in, and then you have your agents and your different factions to fiddle around and manipulate. A little bit like Crusader Kings with the intriguing part, with your agents doing all kinds of schemes and whatnot. And it's new, it's fresh, it's cool. I like it, and I can't wait to play it more when it comes out.
I mean, this has been on my wish list since I think it first popped up, so I'm very excited for that one. So I think I'll take this next, and I'll jump into more science fiction things. Anybody else here play Starship Troopers?
Yes.
No.
How's everybody feeling on Starship Troopers? Speaking
Yay.
of playing things that you don't want to do in real life.
Well, I played it before it actually released. I played the first 10 missions because I was allowed to do that with the key that I had. And I loved it. My first Starship Trooper experience at all. I found it very, very funny, but also horrible, like the things I did. But a really cool RTS game.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too. I did my second day of it today, and I'm not done with the campaign yet. So 12 hours in, not done yet. I like it.
So I'm a big fan of Starship Troopers. The last Starship Troopers game I played came out in 2005 and was a first-person shooter that had no AI. Everything was on a very strict route that it would take through each level, and when they'd hit the end of their route, they'd stop moving for the rest of the level. It was a very poorly made game, including things like escort missions where your escort would just keep walking. Like that game was like the poster boy for terrible escort missions. I never finished it. It was awful. Gladly I didn't pay for it. I sort of did. I got it for about 80 cents in a $1 bin. It was awful. So that was the last Starship Troopers game that I played. So I went into this with very low expectations. And they've made a competent, I won't say they made it good, they made a competent RTS game with a cheeseball script, and it looks and sounds and plays like Starship Troopers.
Agreed, yes.
Like, I don't want to say that this game is fantastic, because it's not. It's a solid, 6.5, 7 out of 10. But it feels like a game that shouldn't have been made in the current year. This feels like something that should have been made in 2003. And it should have been a movie tie-in. And it's very strange that this exists. But they did certainly nail the Starship Troopers feel, and they definitely made a Starship Troopers game. I just wish that it didn't have a memory leak that almost crashed my computer.
I had 0 issues. Interesting. How much memory do you have?
64 gigabytes.
Huh. Interesting.
Well, that should be enough.
That should
I have
be.
32 and I had no issues. That's weird.
I started getting audio stutters by mission 4. And around halfway through mission 4, certain animations started stuttering. And I asked chat if they could hear it, so I restarted the game. I'm like, okay, maybe there's some sort of leak. And it got worse when I restarted the game. And then it got worse, and then my mouse started lagging, and I was like, all right, I need to look at it. And I'll pop up Task Manager, and everything's at 99%. Well, CPU was at 70.
I wonder...
But RAM was at 99%.
I wonder, because you're on a one PC streaming setup, right? Mm-hmm. So I wonder if it's like Starship Troopers plus OBS. But then Kiri was fine. So I don't know.
OBS only uses 20% of my RAM, though. Not even.
Yeah, I don't know.
Look at that game. There's no way in hell it should be using more RAM than Cookie Clicker and Dwarf Fortress. Come on.
Yeah, it was for me. It was also fun. The only thing that I had, my cat somehow kept finding the button, the function key to turn off the HUD in game, and after you then turn that back on, the tooltips disappear. So if you hover over a button, the tooltips are gone. So I had to reload a couple of times.
Oh, that's funny.
Good cat.
Yeah, so the game is not bug free either, right? But I don't know. I played it today for like 7 hours straight. I think
it's fun.
It's
Like,
fun.
don't get me
Yeah,
wrong,
it's fun.
it's fun.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not polished. It's not like amazing, but it's fun, and it's Starship Troopers. It just is.
Funny enough, there's one thing that bugs me, and that's why I did not play it or end up not playing.
It bugs you, huh?
Exactly. It bugs me.
Sorry. Keep going.
It's because they are leaning on not the books but the movies, and the movies are super gory, cringy. They kind of nailed that cringy atmosphere, but I don't know. We expected like massive massacres of bug crushing things, and then you have like this skirmish going on, and there's like hundreds of bugs lying in front of you, and a few seconds later you just see this hundred of bugs sinking slowly into the ground and disappearing. I was like, what the hell? I don't know, that kind of bugged me and took away my immersion. I was like, I don't see the havoc and the destruction that my troops have made in the homeland of alien species that I'm invading because I want their minerals. And yeah, that was kind of immersion breaking for me. I mean, Dawn of War 1, for example, coming back to Warhammer, they are having similar graphics, even though being a game in 2000, I think. And
shouldn't be made current year.
and they manage when you have your warfare going on, you just see the havoc. Like when you come back with your troops going over the same part again, you see like craters there because of grenades explosion. You see bodies lying around. You see guts lying around. I expected like guts and glory of a bug fest in a way.
You want
If
carnage.
you zoom in all the way, blood should splatter on the screen, and also bodies shouldn't disappear. I agree.
I don't know, maybe I'm just weird, but other than
I
that,
wonder if they
I
did
enjoyed
that
the mechanics. It was good.
because of the performance thing.
Yeah, it's
So like
as well.
corpses aren't lying
probably.
around.
Oh, probably. Like that. That's like almost always the reason why bodies disappear in games is because lag. Too many polygons. Too many items. Like there's one thing that really broke my immersion is I noticed it most in the prison defense level. It's one of the earlier levels. I can't remember what level number it is, but where you're supposed to rescue a guy and then kill him because obviously he's a criminal. Because how dare you start a union? Anyway, when you're defending like this wall, they can climb up over the wall, and if they die while the bugs are climbing the wall, they actually finish their climbing animation and then die on top of the wall.
Yeah.
So they'll be like climbing up the wall, and you'll see like 10 bugs, and they'll just be like, "Yay, we've won! We've destroyed the alien threat!" And they'll just like still climbing the wall, climb up onto the wall, stand on the wall for a few seconds, die. Slowly sink into the wall.
Yeah, okay, that's
Which,
kind of
like,
weird.
It's kind of weird, but also kind of amusing in a weird way.
I don't know if for some reason it just fits. I don't know. It fits. It's I don't know. It fits. I don't know. I don't know.
In regards to the book universe versus the movie universe, I like the movie universe more.
Same.
I really like just the absolute goofy and like anti-fascist satire. Like there's something about it where it's just like it just kind of works. And I'm a big fan. Like I listened to the audiobooks years ago, but like I'm a big fan of the way the movie kind of satirizes all of that insanity. And I think that the writing in the game and the animated cutscenes in the game, I think, are probably my highlights. Like playing the game is just kind of going through the motions just to have more of those animated cutscenes fed to you and be indoctrinated into the Federation for the anti-bug threat, because the fact that a bug thinks is frankly offensive. And pause for popcorn.
They think.
The brain bug does.
I think the concept that bug thinks is frankly offensive. Yeah, no, the bugs are super intelligent. Like,
Okay.
I'm
Well,
assuming
not all
like
of
because
them, but like some ones. Yeah.
they're a hive mind. But like this is if this is your first thing for like Starship Troopers,
Yes.
I would recommend watching the first movie or reading one of the books, because like it is like
So many people have told me that. Yes.
Or watch the movie, you will laugh your ass off. It's so cringy.
that movie literally starts off with just like live on the ground in the battlefield, we're winning, and then like a guy just gets cut in half like immediately. It's like, all right.
It's so good. It's good.
It's just over the top anti-fascist violence, and it's great.
I've never seen it.
Watch it.
Watch it. It's on Netflix.
It's so
Go
good.
watch it. I
I
might go watch
might.
it again.
I might. But it doesn't sound very appealing to me.
It's
Me
just
neither.
it's just pure buck gore and shooting.
It's just goofy.
Yeah.
And goofy lines and one-liner that are like just
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
either
Yeah,
love
that-
that
you're not
humor
selling
or
it
you
well.
hate it.
No, but it's not cringy humor or anything like that. Like
I
it's
suppose I have to give it a try.
yeah, it's not cringy, and like there is like a cohesiveness to the entire story and like how far they take the jokes.
It's a live action cartoon.
Because the thing is, like, it's like satire, and the thing is, the characters don't realize how freaking crazy what they're saying and doing is, but you as the viewer realize it because they've all been brainwashed. It's just, oh, it's good. It's really clever, actually. It's
All
good.
right.
There's a really good quote from the producer on the first movie, where he says, "Yeah, I thought that we were making a very good like anti-fascist satire, because it's pretty clear that these characters are idiots, but it's apparently very popular amongst right-wing neo-fascists because they just don't get it."
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Oh man.
Anyway,
Good stuff.
Jess, talk to me about Dome Keeper.
Okay, I have nothing to say about Starship Troopers. Yeah, so Dome Keeper, that was a demo that I tried during Next Fest. Actually, on Carrie's recommendation. I hadn't seen it, and then I gave it a try, and so I think that this one ended up being my favorite.
It is really good.
It was a tie between Orcs and Dome Keeper, but like after a couple days now, I think Dome Keeper wins. And I don't know. So Dome Keeper, it is, you're gonna hate it blind, but it describes itself as a roguelike
Well, it's not,
mining
so it's
action
wrong.
game. But so it's a mining. I would maybe classify it as like a mining action wave defense game. But so like you mine, you find resources, you upgrade your dome, and fight off waves of aliens. At least in the demo, there's a few other like modes and like win conditions that are locked. But it was really cool. I liked it. It felt nice, but it also was really pretty. Like I liked the art a lot and the colors. And I think that's why I ended up picking this one as my number one over Orcs, because the colors are just like, it's very nice to look at.
I need to try this because I played the Game Jam game that they made, which was Dome Romantic. And this is like based on that. So
Yeah.
I was not super enthused by Dome Romantic, but I'm curious to see a more refined version of that.
It just like, I really like games where you dig things. I do not know why, I just like to dig. So,
Jess is a dwarf and she's digging a hole.
yeah. So I mean, that's what you do, you just dig.
The thing is with
And
Dome Keeper,
then you shoot a laser.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it's good. The thing with Dome Keeper is it's like one of those, because it's run based, and it's like, all right, I'm gonna do it better next time, and then you do a bit better, and then you're like, okay, I can do this better and longer and better, and yeah. I played it too, and I know a lot of my community played it as well. They played it for like over, because in the demo, the run doesn't end. Like the demo isn't timed. You can play it as long as you want.
Yeah, I played it twice, and I'm pretty sure I played it twice. I lost both times.
Same, but you can play really long. I think you can theoretically even win in the demo, because there's a win condition, and I think you can win, but it's really hard. It's good.
Yeah, I liked it. I kept finding myself like, ooh, I'm digging. Oh my gosh, my dome's at half health. 'Cause I
Same.
just get lost being my little like I don't know. You kind of look like a bee or something. like my little bee dwarf, and meanwhile my dome is just succumbing to all these alien attacks.
Speaking of games where you go on runs, FG, Curse to Golf. I'm excited about this one, and I'm going to play it after this podcast. What do you think?
It's really fun. So it's it describes itself as a golf roguelike.
Still excited about it. It just doesn't matter if it's wrong. It's like,
I mean,
be like XCOM calling itself an RTS.
I mean, it's turn-based. You take turns putting your goal. But anyways, so Curse to Golf is a 2D side-scrolling golf game, but the gist is you're a golfer. You're just about to make the last shots in the championship, and you're so close to winning, and then you get struck by lightning, and you die, and you get sent to golf purgatory, which is and then you meet like this Scottish guy that runs the shops, the Eternity shops down there, where you can buy your cards that you need for your runs later on. And basically you have 18 levels in the full game, and they get progressively more difficult. And basically it's like sort of a golf game but with puzzling, because you need to like make sure that you get to the hole before your par runs out, so your shots. But you can cheat a little bit because you get these cards that help you, so you can like destroy TNT to get like to shortcuts. You can add a couple of shots to your par and that sort of stuff, and it gets really tricky later on because you have to maneuver your shots and bounce off things and get around obstacles and whatnot. It's just a really cool idea to do with like a 2D side-scrolling golfing game, and I really liked it. The music is also really great, and the devs came by to my stream and they already said they're going to turn off, but they're going to put an option in the game to turn off screen shake as well, because there's screen shake.
That's so good.
It's not horribly obnoxious, and there's not too much of it, but yeah, they're still going to put an option in, which is great.
Love to hear it.
Yep. Also, can I just give like a shout out to a game that I played, a demo that I played? Because it reminded me of like Domekeeper reminded me of it, because it had a similar, really pleasing aesthetic art style, and it was amazing to play. Road Warden, super awesome art style, pixel art. It's an RPG. It's basically a one-person D&D adventure. You don't roll dice, but you have like an inventory, health management, etc., etc. It's just not voiced, so there's lots of reading, so I didn't do it long on stream, but it's amazing, and I'm still gonna play it.
What did you say it was?
Road Warden. It's one word.
Road.
It's like really atmospheric and well written, and the art style is really great.
Yeah, it looks nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I landed on Road Warriors.
No, Road Warden.
Just
Shouting it out for the art style, and there you go. Snuck in my.
That looks like something I would play. I'm gonna.
Yeah, it's great. It's really great. I thought I picked these two. Naughtily, because we said we only do one, but it's because these are games
short, right? It's fine.
It's short, yeah, it's fine. But nobody else has played it, so I picked those, because I also played Domekeeper and I really enjoyed it, for example.
Yeah, I mean, I have more games I could talk about, but
Same.
we've been recording for an hour and 20-something minutes now, and
yeah,
we're only just finishing the news section. So for the sake of everybody's time, we're keeping the game section a little short today, because let's be honest, this whole podcast has been about games, because we started off with like all the E3 stuff, and I just downloaded that demo for Road Warden. Thanks, FG. And then we covered Starship Troopers, It Takes Two, Domekeeper, Curse to Golf, and of course Terra Invicta, coming soon to a storefront near you. But I think we're going to go to another quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the news in the games industry, and games adjacent, I suppose. So we'll be back in a couple of minutes, right after these short words.
Hey, my name is Arch from Arch Plays Stuff, and you're listening to the Halcyon Frequency Podcast. I'm not on this one, but if you want to catch me live on Twitch, you can, at twitch.tv/archplaystuff. Happy listening.
All right, we are back with episode 22 of the Halcyon Frequency Podcast, and we're here to talk about the news. So the first thing we kind of have on our little list of stories here is Seth Green. So TLDR for people who missed this whole event. Seth Green, voice actor for Mass Effect and other things that you've probably heard before, as well as kind of maybe a cult favorite actor, I guess, from TV shows from when I was a child. Anyway, he had a Bored Ape. You know, the very popular NFT from the Bored Ape Yacht Club, and was working on a TV show starring his Bored Ape. It's a live-action TV show where his Bored Ape, named Fred, plays a bartender. Anyway, through an Instagram phishing scam, he lost control of his Bored Ape, and it was stolen by a scammer, who then immediately turned around and sold it. So then Seth Green went and reached out to the person who bought it from him and said, hey, can you please just give me the NFT? I need it for this show. His show got put on hold, and we all laughed at him. Then after trying to go through legal ways to get his NFT back, the courts basically said, yeah, we can't do anything. It's decentralized, you silly goose. And then he went, well, and now he's spent another $300,000 in Ethereum on his NFT for the second time. And also, so the kind of amazing thing about this, right, is you buy a thing that you want to maintain value, right? Makes a TV show out of the thing to inflate its value. It gets stolen, which inflates its value. Somebody buys it, which inflates its value even more, and then he has to buy it back at an inflated price from what it was originally worth, more than what he paid for it, as crypto is just going boom. Because he bought it for $300,000 in crypto. Now with crypto, that's worth less than it was when he bought it the first time.
That's ridiculous.
To me, it's just like...
Go ahead.
It's the most 2022 thing that could possibly happen.
I don't understand how this is necessary for a TV show.
To inflate the value of his NFT. It's like you buy a very fancy car and you paint a sticker on the side, and then you're like, I want this car to be in the new Batman so I can sell this car for more money.
Well, it's also basically he needs to own the NFT because otherwise he legally can't make the TV show about the NFT. That's already basically
I guess
finished.
I don't get the TV show about the NFT thing.
Well, he's making this comedy show with lots of characters, and some of them are gonna be NFTs that he owns.
Okay.
So basically, think it's like IRL backgrounds, but then cartoon characters, and the cartoon characters
It's like Roger Rabbit.
Yeah, and the cartoon characters are NFTs. And he owns currently those NFTs, but I guess people can then later on buy those NFTs, and yeah, it's very 2022. Yeah, that about sums it up.
Yep. That about sums it up.
Yep.
Speaking of things that sums things up, FG, do you want to talk to me about Blizzard?
No, but I'll do it anyway. So, Blizzard has concluded in their own investigation by Blizzard Activision that Blizzard Activision has done nothing wrong, and Blizzard Activision can't be blamed for anything. Basically, the headline comes from a Verge article. Others have also reported about this, but they just had the best headline, so I grabbed this article, and basically, after all of the harassment and all of those things came out, one of the things that came out of that as like a form of making restitutions, apparently they did their own investigation, and they determined that there's no evidence. So this is a direct quote from Activision Blizzard's filing. Contrary to many of the allegations, the board and external advisors have determined that there is no evidence to suggest that Activision Blizzard senior executives ever intentionally ignored or attempted to downplay the instances of gender harassment that occurred and were reported. So that is what they have concluded. So basically, what they're saying is, well, this stuff has happened, but our executives have done nothing wrong because they didn't downplay it. It's I don't know. They just keep going, and then they also accuse the media of subjecting them to an unrelenting barrage of media criticism. And God,
damn
Blizzard.
straight.
They're not making it better.
No, they're not making it better, and it's just I'm Blizzard. That's all I can say. What has happened to you? That's all.
When this article came out, and when this story broke, I guess, like we're looking at an article on The Verge, but there's a lot of different articles about the subject. When the story broke for this, I just kind of took a look at it and was just thinking to myself that there's a lot of hand-wringing going on because there's a lot of people at the top of Blizzard and Activision that just kind of want to get out with money. And it's because there's a lot of posturing and poising that you kind of see amongst billionaires and people at the top of industries where they're just like, on one hand, trying to run their company, but on the other hand, trying to impress their friends and trying to be richer than their friends. And it's just like, okay, so we did a bad, let's cover it up as much as possible, and then turn around and go shake hands with, I don't know, rich person number 32. And it's just like, it's difficult to watch from the perspective of somebody who I guess technically is part of the media. Like, we're small voices in the media, but we're still part of the media. It's difficult to watch because it's clear as day. And these people at the top of these companies live in a different universe than the rest of us. And this just makes that so much more clear to me.
Yeah. Absolutely. Also, I don't know, like, did they actually think that anybody would take, like, what they say, like, seriously or, like, believe that report? I don't know. It's,
Their own investigation. If
Yeah,
that
exactly,
were, like,
yeah.
an independent third party, but their own investigation about their own thing that they did, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's fun. It's just like one of these health investigation thing that happens sometimes on food sale place, and they come up to you like, hey, we come to check the place, and he's like, I'm gonna check myself. He looks down to his right, all good.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
There's still food there. I think.
And it's moving, I think.
I mean, it's just like one giant conflict of interest. I don't know how anyone could take it seriously.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I mean, on the back of this, I think Activision and now Microsoft are... I do kind of feel that this is going to end for the better of the industry as a whole, because it's gotten a lot of balls rolling that I don't think would have gotten rolling as quickly. You know, Raven and their QA has successfully unionized, which is a huge deal.
Yep.
For especially game development in North America. And I don't think that would have happened if all of this with Blizzard hadn't happened. I don't think they would have been able to successfully unionize if there wasn't a calamity going down at like Blizzard HQ and spreading throughout Activision. I feel like it would have just gotten buried. I think that one of the benefits of having the media, I guess, constantly staring at you and bombarding you, and as they say, at a barrage, it forces you to do things that you wouldn't have allowed to happen otherwise. And it's painful to watch, and it's difficult, and it's obnoxious, but I'd like to think it'll end for the better.
It also shifts it from something that's more internal to being external, and now like all these eyes are on it as well. Not just the media, like with the endless barrage, but now just everybody's aware, or at least most people are aware this is happening, and it affects their bottom line.
Yeah.
So it puts strong arms them into making a change.
Hopefully, yeah.
Hopefully.
You know, like we were talking about Diablo earlier, right? And Diablo looks good, but there's parts of that studio where games are coming out and things are being released that don't. And it really, like, just take two looks at Overwatch 2 and the reception of that. Like, how hard do you have to fall as a studio to go from being quite literally the darling on top of the world to nobody cares? It's it's difficult to watch. But speaking of things that are difficult to watch, I don't know how much we want to go into these two, but I just kind of want to recommend 2 videos. One is Stalker 2's development log.
Really good one. Yeah.
Which is, it's 3 minutes long. It's heartfelt and fascinating, and it's basically just a bunch of really quick jump cuts of GSC Game World packing up their studio and moving out of their hometown in Ukraine and relocating all of their computers and development hardware, as well as jumping between a bunch of members of the studio while they're fighting in defense of Ukraine. And it's hard to watch, but I recommend it. It's interesting because those are some faces that I recognize from the industry too. So there's that one that I recommend watching. Then the second one is a recent video from a group that I proudly support on Patreon, which is People Make Games. They released a long series of interviews with various members of the team at Frogwares, who we actually talked about recently on this show because they got a mega grant from Epic to relocate. This was mostly filmed before that. I think entirely filmed before that, where they talk with the CEO and founder of the studio, as well as a bunch of people via video call and some people who have relocated out of Ukraine from Kiev, where the studio is based. For those of you who don't know, Frogwares, they've made all the Sherlock Holmes games. Like they make like Sherlock Holmes games. They make mystery games, and it's a fascinating set of interviews. And they've raised a lot of money already because the video itself is a fundraiser. And how much are they at right now? They had a goal of like 5,000, and they'd already surpassed that. Yeah, they're at 8,000 USD from 5,000, which is what their goal was. So they got 30 days left on that fundraiser. So I recommend watching both those videos, and I'll just attach them alongside of this podcast. So you can find them there. Anybody else want to comment on anything that I've spoken about in the last couple minutes, or should we just move on?
That the Stalker devlog was what made me cry.
Yeah.
That was so sad.
It's kind of heartbreaking to
heartbreaking.
see them in the LAs of their flats, sitting around, typing on their computers, coding stuff while running down into the basement because of bombshell warning, and then come back up and just continue like there's nothing happening because they want to ship their game. It kind of also shows how much love and dedication is behind their project in a way. I hope it doesn't end bad in a way if it's like unpolished and getting stomped upon the bad internet vibes.
Don't think so.
I've had such a mixed feelings about Stalker 2 because on one hand, I've played Stalker. I've played the 3 previous Stalker games, if you could call them 3 games. I played Stalker and the 2 standalone expansion packs, and I played Stalker Anomaly, and I played Metro 2033, and I like that vibe, and I love those games and that style of game, and was very keen on Stalker 2, and then they announced NFTs, and then I was yelling at them on Twitter like everybody else, and then they got rid of NFTs, and then we laughed at them, and then now this happened, and I'm back to just wanting to play Stalker again. So I don't know. It's been a weird emotional roller coaster, but I mean, it'll be on Game Pass day one apparently, so that was the one real takeaway about Stalker from E3 is that it'll be on Game Pass day one whenever it does finally release. But I hope that members of the GSC Game World team stay safe.
Yeah,
That's what I hope.
exactly.
Yeah.
I'd rather they stay safe than like try to crank out the game and work on it. Like, you know,
There's a
game can
really
wait.
interesting note from the Frogwares interviews, which was we should keep developing our games because when the games release and as the games make money, it helps the country rebuild. It's like
of course,
Frogwares
yeah.
employs 100 people, approximately, like just over 100 people, which is just over 100 families, which is not a small amount of people, right? And like the CEO of Frogwares is in France right now. He was working remote because he's French and he lives in France, but he used to live in Kiev and left when the pandemic hit and to live in France because they were all working remote anyway. And he was talking about how he has contact with every single person in his studio and knows where everybody is and is helping relocate people and move people around. And and he was just talking about the importance of like still working on their projects, but at the same time making sure people are safe, just because as long as people are getting paid, that's helping the country, right?
That's
Of
awesome.
course, absolutely, yeah.
There's wholesome bits in those videos, but also they're heartbreaking. So, enough of the kind of rough stuff. I got one small note. I'm attacking this onto the news section, even though it's not really news, because I have this, which is a tiny little box that I'm holding up on the camera, which you can't see. I have an Arju Boy. I can sort of do like a physical description review because I haven't actually turned it on yet. But an Arju Boy is a open source console the size of a credit card. It's a tiny little Game Boy thing. It feels like a credit card. It has a steel back, which actually feels really nice, and it's like, I don't know, it's got a nice feel to it. It's very tiny,
How can
but
you
it's just a
play
D-pad and 2
that?
buttons and an on-off button. That's it. How do you play that?
Yeah.
With your fingers.
Yeah, but are you not going to drop it? Like, it's so tiny.
And the monitor's super
Okay.
tiny.
Okay.
But it's like the screen is like 2 postage stamps. It's like
I think my hands would cramp holding this.
2 cents. Oh, my hands will cramp too. But it's not a long play session thing, right? Like on the box it says 200 plus games inside because it comes shipping with 200 games. But if you go to their forums, which is just the Arju Boy forums, it is an open source console, so everything on it is open source and very easy to program, and it's kind of it fits into what I really like about games. I really like kind of the short, small, experimental, weird stuff in the games industry. It's probably my favorite thing to cover, and it's also my favorite thing to experience and mess around with. And the fact that it's open source and the fact that it's affordable, this particular device that I'm holding in my hand right now, I'll attach a link in the in the description of this podcast to it if you guys would like. I just will. But it's $60 for this thing, right? But all of the games are open source and free. So you have your 200 games that are built in plus things that other people have made. And if you look at the back, there's little platformers, there's little puzzle games, there's a little factory building game, there's new takes on old arcade games. There's like first person dungeon crawlers. There's Zelda clones. There's sports games. There's a golf game on this thing. There's platformers like Super Mario Brothers, and it's not the sort of thing that you're going to sit down and play for 9 hours, right? Like I wouldn't even say it's something that you'd sit down and play for an hour. It's not even like a Game Boy. It's like something that you'd sit down and you play for 10 minutes. And that's kind of what these games are all designed for, because they're all a couple kilobytes, and it's true 8-bit, so they're tiny, and there's not a lot they can do with them. So operating within those constraints to make a fun little toy or a fun little game in a very small package is something that really intrigues me, which is why I also ordered a Playdate, which hasn't arrived yet, which I'm waiting for. The Arju Boy is something that I picked up kind of shortly after I bought the Playdate, or pre-ordered a Playdate, I guess. And it took a little bit for it to ship, but it's arrived now. And by the next episode of this podcast, I can hopefully give you a proper review of it.
I'm looking forward to that.
The Arju Boy.
I would like to hear your review about how well it handles being dropped on the floor.
Okay.
Please don't.
I mean, I will say it is metal. Like, it's solid metal, and it will fit in a wallet, like, card slot.
Yeah.
Like, it is.
It's cool.
It is
I like the
small.
idea of it. It's just tiny.
Yeah, but that's the
I would
point.
lose
I want to
it.
take it to a park.
I
and
would
go
drop
play
it.
games.
I'd probably lose it in the toilet or something. Like,
Well,
Yeah, cool. I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say about it.
And I love your enthusiasm about it. Like, I mean, the others can see it, but on the camera, like, super excited about it to give it a spin.
and it's like I get excited about weird things.
That's totally
I will
fine.
say.
Yeah, it's a cool
Even
gadget.
if you look at the logo work, it's definitely not inspired by a Game Boy. Although this is measured on this camera.
Definitely not. No.
definitely
not.
not.
Definitely not. But I think that kind of brings us to the end of this here episode of the Halcyon Frequency Podcast for episode 22, June 19th, 2022. So I'm just going to give the floor to our guest here. Tell people where they can find you. Tell people where they can find Hooded Horse, where they can find the stuff that you do in your content, and where people can buy the company that you work for's games.
Amazing. So let's start with Hooded Horse. It's pretty simple, hoodedhorse.com. You can see all our announced games there. They're not all there because we have a lot of, behind the curtain things running and putting down the deals and whatnot. There's a lot of more to announce. I think in total, we have something around 15 to 16 babies on the go. I call them babies. And that's the easiest way to check them out. They're all over Steam, Epic, GOG, whatever is your favorite platform to grab them. They're all over there. And for myself, you can find me on Twitch under Kormakrtv. I know, most terrible name for publishing and marketing, but I have a good story behind it. Maybe I will tell it one day. I don't know. And that's why I stick with it. You can find me on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, same handle, Kormakr everywhere. And I'm excited. I'm a very emotional kind of a guy, and I like to dive into stories. I don't mind the genre as long as it tells me a story. I'm there. I'm living it. I'm screaming with the character. I'm crying with the character. I'm getting all of kind of emotional roller coasters. That's why audience love to see me play spooky games, and I hate to play them because they haunt me for 2 weeks in my private life afterwards.
Ooh, you must be looking forward to the Callisto Protocol then.
Oh, I've seen it. No. I will try to hide it and dodge that bullet, but probably their Vikings will be chanting in background, play it. And
do it.
We're gonna have them probably fun things like heart rate monitors and to spice it up, scare alerts or whatever.
That sounds fun to watch.
Yeah, it's fun to watch. It's horrendous for me, and it takes me probably then again a month to digest whatever happens during that playthrough.
I understand.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Kiri, do you want to tell people where they can find you?
Yeah, you can find me online as 2D Kiri on Twitch and YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Patreon. And I stream strategy games, indie games, lots of demos currently. And, stop by.
Jess?
Sure. I am Jess, also Whoa Jess. You can find me on Twitch, Twitter, Discord, Patreon, somewhere else. And sometimes there's an underscore in the middle, and sometimes there's not. I play a lot of strategy, simulation, management, also a lot of demos. Yeah.
FG?
Yeah, hi, I'm FGsquared, basically everywhere, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, Patreon, TikTok, but there is a sneaky underscore on Twitter between the FG and the squared. I play a wide variety of stuff, some indie, some AAA, just whatever floats my boat right now. We're going to finish up Starship Troopers, probably do some demos on Monday, and then Raft. Because that is getting its story finished. I'm excited about that.
Ooh, Raft.
Raft, yes.
The concept of Raft having a story is very strange to me because I only played the very, very, very early itch demo.
Yeah, I can see that.
Are you going to play a new Raft? Or are you going to
pick up from
where you left off?
No, I want to start over because I don't remember what happened.
You mean you're starting over so that the viewers don't get lost?
Yeah, of course. Yep. That's a better explanation, actually.
And I'm blind, and as of tomorrow, I go on vacation. So I won't be on the podcast next week, which means you guys get to figure it out without me. Good luck. I'm not responsible for anything that happens next week, but I'm blind, and you can find me at twitch.tv/BLINDIRL and YouTube under the same name, Twitter under the same name, and Patreon under the same name. I actually tweet now, so it's worth following me again. And I play way too much Dwarf Fortress. It's not a problem. You're the problem. Anyway, I also play traditional roguelikes and games you haven't heard of, and that's what I do.
Dwarf Fortress Steam hype.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm literally the one man hype train on YouTube for that game. And then For the podcast, you can find more episodes of this show at halcyonfrequency.com. You can also find this podcast on a podcast platform of your choice. If you want to ask us questions about the podcast or talk about podcast episodes, the Halcyon Frequency Discord is the place to do that. We have a room for both of those things. You can find that through halcyonfrequency.com. In the description of this podcast is everything that we talked about today, including links to our guest and a hooded horse. And I think that is pretty much everything. Have I forgotten anything?
Nope.
Right. If the podcast isn't in a place where you want it to be, tell me and I will make it appear there. That's everything.
I think by now the podcast is everywhere.
Pretty much, yeah. Leave us reviews on Podcast Addict, because that's apparently a place that people listen to podcasts a lot, and we have like 12 followers over there, so go leave us reviews over there. Because they have reviews that are way easier to leave than iTunes.
Nice.
And I think that's pretty much it. So now's where we say
All right.
goodbye.
Goodbye.
Relatively synced.
Bye-bye,
Goodbye.
everybody.
Bye.
Goodbye.